Hey, everybody. Welcome to another edition of the Weekly Daily Podcast. It's good to be here. I'm in a new area here, you may notice if you're watching the video. I'm in Erie, Pennsylvania, staying at the Red Roof Inn Plus Suites. Got a lot to catch you up on. A lot's been going on, which has been fun. Red Roof Inn Suites. I don't know if I've ever stayed in one of those. It's a Red Roof Inn Plus, which I don't know what the plus means. They don't have a breakfast, so feels more like a Red Roof Inn minus. 0 for 1 on jokes on this podcast. I understand. That was not a good one. That's all right, though. I'm excited to, like I said, catch you guys up on what's been going on. It's been a very fun last couple weeks. I was in Virginia for a little while. I guess, what is today for? April 30th. Sunday, April 30th. I was in Virginia for a while, doing some shows throughout the state there. And then I traveled up to, right now I'm, like I said, in Erie, Pennsylvania, here for the Flagship City Comedy Festival, which has been super fun. Very good time. Great festival. It's the first year. Excited to be a part of it. But before I got here, I went to Pittsburgh for a little while. I spent 4 or 5 days in Pittsburgh. Went from Virginia up to Pittsburgh before the festival started here in Erie. And that was a very fun time. That was my first time in Pittsburgh. I went to a bunch of open mics there. Got to see some of the city. It's a very different area than, I guess I didn't really have any expectations, but very different. Very hilly city. You never hear that when you hear Pennsylvania. Pittsburgh. Not just Pennsylvania. I'll be honest with you guys, when I lay back here like this, it's like comfortable, but then it makes me take deep breaths. I don't know why I breathed out like that. That was weird. But hopefully that doesn't show up in the podcast. I feel I haven't exercised in a few days. It's tough. I've wanted to exercise, but also you want to hang out with people at the festival. You're meeting new people, staying up a little bit later to hang out, so it's tougher to get up early in the morning and get that exercise in. It's been gloomy. It's that overcast, rainy spring weather I imagine this area is probably familiar with. A little bit similar in Virginia, Ohio, and I think Ohio and maybe this area in Pennsylvania probably get some rainy, overcast, a lot of days similar to that. But yeah, Pittsburgh was fun. I was in Pittsburgh Monday until Friday morning of last week. And like I said, I hit up a bunch of open mics, got to meet a lot of people there. It was a cool scene, a lot of cool people there. Decent amount of open mics going on. I think with the exception of Monday, every night had at least 2 open mics, so I was able to hit up 7 or 8 open mics throughout the week. And yeah, it is an interesting city. There's a river or two that kind of cut through the city, so there's a bunch of bridges to cross. There's a bunch of hills. The Airbnb I stayed in was very hilly. It's like houses that are just up in these hills, and you have to zigzag on roads to get up there. And my Honda Fit made it. That was the impressive part. I don't know if you guys can see the sheets here, or the comforter, the cover, whatever this is, on the bed. But I spilled coffee on it yesterday. And I was like, oh no, am I going to get charged for spilling coffee on here? But I haven't seen this before. It's waterproof. It just sat there and I wiped it off, and I was like, dang. That makes sense. People are eating and drinking in their beds. I guess it makes sense to have a waterproof cover. Anyways, back to Pittsburgh. Yeah, a lot of, there's rivers there, so a lot of bridges, a lot of hills. There's a lot of deer in the city that are just running around. One of the comics there, he drove me around and showed me around. He showed me I guess it's the steepest road in America, I think. It was like 45 degrees straight up, I don't know if my car would honestly be able to go up that. It was super steep, and it's just like townhouses and houses there. It's not like a special thing. It's just kind of on some back roads and then up in a residential area. Apparently, Audi, the car company, did a car commercial there to show off why you should spend $100,000 on a car. They're like, well, here's our sales pitch. Our cars can handle one road in Pittsburgh. So, yeah, you should pay six figures. I don't know. I haven't seen the commercial. But I'm honestly not sure if my Honda Fit would be able to make it. But that was fun. Like I said, good time. Got to meet a lot of people in Pittsburgh. Didn't do any shows, just did a handful of mics. I didn't plan accordingly after the Virginia run of shows. I just wanted to check out and kind of do some mics in the area. But then, I don't know if you could hear that. That was the Popo, the 5-0, right outside of the hotel. It's one of the hotel I'm in, the what is this called? Red Roof Inn. It's in, you enter your room from the outside. I don't know if that's more like of a motel vibe. I don't know if that's specifically what classifies a motel or not, but why do I bring that up? I don't know. I've been eating pretty unhealthy, drinking a little alcohol. Not a ton, but I don't drink much nowadays, so just a little bit. Staying up later, not eating as healthy. I'm a little out of whack here, so I'll have to get back in a routine. I'm getting ready to head to Ohio tomorrow, so I'll have to get back on the exercise train and eating healthy. Get this last week. I guess I've been on the road for like 3 weeks almost at this. Yeah, 3 weeks at this point, which is by far the longest I've ever been on the road, and I've got another full week before heading back to Denver. So yeah, this has been an interesting experience. Very fun. Like I said, started off in Virginia, did a run of shows that were very successful, very fun with a good friend comic out of Denver. We did the shows together. We talked about those in the past podcast. If you're interested in hearing about those, just check out the previous podcast. We kind of go into detail about the good, the bad, the chaotic shows. But yeah, I don't even know what can I talk about in Pittsburgh that's interesting. Anytime I go to a new scene, it's funny because after doing the shows in Virginia, I was very much like, I don't want to say any of my jokes again. I want to just go back to the process of literally bombing and developing new material, just eating it until you find something that's funny and developing new material. And I still plan on doing that when I get back to Denver. Get ready, Denver open mics. I'm about to stink it up for a while. But you got to do that. Got to figure it out. But yeah, it's interesting going to a new scene because as much as I wanted to try new material, and I tried a little bit, but also you know, there's pressure to be like, I'm meeting new people for the first time. Let me do some jokes that I know that work. Maybe there's not a crowd or people there, so you're probably not getting that many laughs, but at least you can show you're competent, make friends with people. The whole networking thing is an important aspect of comedy. So the hope is next time you come through the area that you can hit some people up and see if you can get on some shows and string some things together. But yeah. What else did I do in Pittsburgh? I stayed in an Airbnb. I think I said that already, but it was a cool spot. It was like a 1-bedroom. It was an interesting spot. It's one of those where any place you go that's like a new place, it's very easy obviously to judge that place based on just like initial visual look, and it looked kind of sketchy initially, and I'm still not even sure if it was sketchy or if just like a lot of buildings and neighborhoods in Pittsburgh are kind of like an older buildings that were built a while ago to maybe make it look a little more rundown. And then things being in the hills and like roads real zigzaggy, and I don't know. It seemed a little weird, but then, I hung out there for 4 or 5 days, and it's like, I don't know. It seems fine. It was by a park. It seemed okay. Somebody picked me up. One of the comics picked me up later. We carpooled, and he was like, "Where is this? This is sketchy." And I was like, "I don't know. You live here. I'm not from here. Is it sketchy?" The Airbnb, the description was like, it's a mature neighborhood, which I don't even know what that means. A mature neighborhood. So, man, Airbnb, I'll tell you what, the people that rent those out, they are so concerned with that 5-star rating. That's all they care about. Like, literally, I booked this place, and they sent me a message, and they're like, "Hey, just to say this for the third time, you already read it. You know about it from the pictures and everything, but we want to say it one more time. Like, if you're expecting luxury, that's not us. We want your 5-star review." And I'm like, "No, dude, I booked this because it was the cheapest option available." It smelled like gas in there. They had a gas heater. Felt like I was back in 2014. I used to go stay at a buddy's like guest house. He lived in a guest house like that, like a little mini. It was a studio, but it was like a 300 square foot guest house that was converted into a studio, and it wasn't sketchy, but it was just very. It was not the greatest. It was not luxury for sure. Like, the bathroom was so tiny in there that when you sat on the toilet, you had to like turn sideways because your knees would hit the wall. And he had like a little gas heater, and so anytime you walked in there, it had a certain smell. So when I walked into this Airbnb, it took me back to those days of Charlottesville and hanging out with my friend and sleeping on a couch for the weekend. I used to drive up there all the time because I was in Lynchburg at the time. There wasn't anything going on, so I'd drive to Charlottesville and we'd hang out, and those were fun times. But also kind of sad to think that back then, and a lot of people I think do this just like even as they're older. It's just kind of the norm for them, but you can't get out of your hometown, or you can't, maybe you just don't enjoy living in the city you're in that much, so you're just driving every weekend to go stay somewhere else rather than just being like, well, let me just change my circumstances and move to a new place. But I got out eventually, and glad I did. Been around. I've lived in a couple cities and suburbs and other places. So, yeah, it's the Airbnb had that smell to it, which gave me nostalgia for 2014. But it was like a little place there that I didn't hang out too much. I tried to be productive and tried to write a lot. Went to the gym a couple times. Tried to be active and bought some food to be able to cook and eat healthy-ish. But from there, I drove up here to Erie, where I'm at now, Erie, Pennsylvania, which is like right on the Lake Erie, I guess. What would you call it? Right on the coast? I'm not good with geography. But I'm about a half mile probably from the water. I did a show last night that was on the water that was super cool. The shows here, honestly, have been unbelievably good. I didn't, you never know what to expect going into a festival. I've done some festivals in the past that have been more like, a lot of the shows are kind of more like an open mic. And then maybe there's like a show or two that's kind of the main show that's okay. But basically, I mean, almost every show has been sold out. I came in Friday, and I was supposed to do a show on Saturday and Sunday, but I came in on Friday to the hotel, and then I just went to go hang out at the first show of that night. I think the festival started on Thursday, but I went to just go hang out at a show on Friday because I had nothing else going on, and somebody ended up not showing up, so I actually got a spot, and it was awesome. It was super fun. It was like, I don't know, 50, 60, 70 people. Packed in. I mean, there was no room. There were people standing up, standing room only, and it Is it a place called Calamari's? Like a restaurant. Calamari. What is that? Squid? Squid? What is the other thing? There's squid. Octopus. Is it octopus? Write in the comments, guys. What is calamari? I don't have enough money to know what this stuff means, you know? Why do you call it calamari anyways? If it's squid or octopus? Like, just say what it is. It's the same thing with, like, tripe. I think tripe is, like, there's, like, tripe tacos, and I'm pretty sure tripe is the stomach or the intestines, like, fried up from a pig or some animal. And it's like, just say it, you know? Why we got to have all these code words? You're like, this taco is pig stomach. Do you want it or do you not? It's pretty good, but it's a stomach. And if that makes you feel weird, that's why they do it. Calamari is especially, I feel like calamari is like the fancy thing, whereas tripe is maybe seen as kind of dirty, but calamari is like this fancy thing. And they're hiding it from saying, like, if you said squid or octopus, I feel like people might be like, I don't know about that. But calamari, they're like, charge triple price. It's calamari, okay? Sounds fancy. It's from, I'll look it up. And next episode, I'll give a breakdown of what calamari stands for. I haven't had seafood in a while. Seafood's a big thing in around waters, which makes sense. Haven't had any here. I don't know if Lake Erie, if that's a dirty lake or if people eat food out of it. I imagine they probably would. But, yeah, East Coast didn't have any. Growing up, I grew up in Virginia, which is off the coast, but it was like 5 hours from the ocean, so it wasn't like a super common thing. But always loved seafood, crabs, shrimp. Oh, shrimp, so good. Lobster's okay. I don't know. My lobster experience is limited to Red Lobster, and I'm pretty sure that's not a good place to judge whether or not lobster is good or not. So I'll keep you guys updated. I'll look up calamari and then I'll buy some seafood and we'll just do a taste test. And that'll be a podcast. Just me eating seafood, rating it on a scale of 1 to calamari. What are the eggs? All right, well, I can't think of what the eggs are. The fancy eggs. I'm really blanking. Low on sleep. I got scatterbrain. It's all right, though. Yeah, so anyways, back to the show on Friday. Show was great. It was packed out. Hot crowd. Had a great set. It was super fun. And yeah, it was a free show. So, you never know. I did a handful of free shows in Virginia where I was doing that run a couple weeks ago. And some of them were good. Some of them were a little chaotic with people being chatty, which made it difficult. But this room was very, very attentive, very good. There was one table. It was funny. The front left table that was like right beside all the performers when they were doing their sets. They were there, and then it was like everybody else, not just in the back. I mean, it progressively went towards the back, but there was one table that just happened to be like right beside the performers, and there was a lady there that I don't know if she was drunk or if she was just very chatty, but she very much wanted to be involved, which is funny because it was one of those things where the other people in the back, they couldn't hear her. So it was kind of one of those things where like only the performer can hear her. It's very obnoxious, but also it's like, do I address it when nobody else can hear it and everybody else is laughing? So I just didn't address it, which is fine. You do that sometimes. You kind of make that judgment call. You go, do I risk kind of losing some momentum, trying to be like, what are you talking about? What are you saying? Or just keep going? So I just kept going, but it was very funny because I have a joke about running and like uploading my runs to an app called Strava, which like tracks, it's like a social media app for runners and cyclists. And I was doing that joke, and this lady was like, I'm on Strava too. I'll follow you on Strava. And she's just like yapping, and I'm just ignoring her. And she wants to, you can tell it's one of those people who they want you to look over so they can have a conversation with you, even though it's like, this art form is not a back and forth. It's like, I get that I'm up here being very selfish. I need you to, but it's like, I need you to listen and not speak. But she was like, oh, I'll follow you. She wanted my attention. And the whole time out of the corner of my eye, she kept showing me her phone to go, I followed you. And I just didn't give her the time of day because I didn't want to, lose the momentum. But it was kind of funny. It's like, all right, I appreciate your enthusiasm. I appreciate you being here, but let's talk after, okay? Can you wait 6 minutes and then we can have a conversation and you can tell me how you followed me on Strava and I will be like, oh, cool, thank you. And that'll be it. Which, speaking of Strava, like I said, it's like a social media app for runners and cyclists, and people can upload their runs, their hikes, their walks. You can like it. You can comment on it. It's a niche. It makes me laugh so much because during this last month, I feel like I've gotten the same amount, if not more, followers on Strava from doing this joke than I have gotten Instagram followers, which is hilarious. Because a very small portion of people are on Strava. Most people are on Instagram, and I cannot increase my following. People are like, we don't like your jokes, and we don't want to see those, but we would like to see how fast you're running a 5K. So we'll follow you on Strava. But that's been, maybe that's just how I'll just be the Strava comic. Just build a big following on Strava, and then I'll just do shows, and I'll be like, I'll come up with 56 more minutes of running material because I have 2 at the moment, and that's probably not enough to be a Strava comedian. But that show was very fun. Everybody on the show did very well. The show yesterday. So I guess just to back up for a second. So I went to the show on Friday night. Somebody dropped out, so I got a spot, which was very cool. Everybody did very well. It was a very fun show. Then I went from there to a different venue. So they've got the festival at a handful of different venues. The first one, like I said, I did at Calamari's. The next one was a Friday late show that started maybe 9:30 or something like that. And it was at the 1020 Collective, which is kind of like they have a bar, but it's kind of like an artsy area where I think there's local art probably up, but there's a stage, and it's actually a very cool venue to do performing arts, including obviously stand-up. And the late night show was also great. I mean, it was sold out as well. Got to see some very funny comedians. The headliner was Learn More Jonasi, I think his name is, who was very funny. I didn't know much about him. People were talking about him in Pittsburgh when I was there because I guess he's local to Pittsburgh, originally from Zimbabwe, and moved to the States like 8 months ago, but hadn't heard of him. But he did great, had a great set, was very funny. Everybody on the show did very well. So that was Friday night. That was the last show of that night. And we ended up, a lot of comics, we ended up going out to this bar called the Sloppy Duck, which is a pretty perfect name for a late night bar, I would say. It was right on the water. I don't stay up too late. I don't drink a ton, but I was like, you know what? You got to do it. I didn't drink that much. I had a couple drinks, and then, they closed at 2, so we were all at 2 singing karaoke. Singing karaoke. I went up one time with a group of 8 people and stood in the corner. That was my contribution to singing karaoke. But, that was Friday night, and just having a couple drinks. I didn't eat dinner. That was my problem. I didn't eat dinner, and then I had like 3 drinks over the span of 4 hours, which is embarrassing because that's not much. but not eating dinner. I didn't feel great the next day, and I had a lot of plans of exercise, writing, doing a bunch of things on Saturday that I did not get to. But also, there's a bunch of shows throughout the day, so I wanted to go support those and hang out there. So there's a brunch show on Saturday around 12 or 1, which there's probably about 20 people there. But 20 people that were like there to laugh and have a good time. So everybody did very well. It was a fun show to watch. And then I actually ended up going home and taking a nap because I was very tired. I did not sleep all that much the night before. And then I came back for there's a local a headliner that was doing the Saturday night show that I was on, and he was doing like a little Q&A about, he's got a big social media following, and he's been doing stand-up for like 18 years, so he led kind of a little Q&A for all the comics on the festival, which was good info to take in. But then I think they had a kind of like 5 o'clock show at a brewery, but I ended up coming back to my hotel here, and I don't know, I might have taken another nap or gotten dinner. I think I just got dinner and hung out for a little bit. But Saturday night, which was last night, I had my first actual book show because I did that drop-in spot unexpectedly on Friday night. But Saturday night, I think it was one of the main shows of the festival, so I was very excited to be a part of that lineup. It was at the Sheraton Hotel that's right on the waterfront. I guess they rented out a ballroom there and pretty much sold out. I mean, there was 100 plus people in the space there, and it was a great show. It was super fun. The crowd was into it. Everybody ripped. The headliner, Brent Terhune. Terhune? I'm not sure if I'm saying it right. He's out of Indianapolis. Very funny guy. Very, very good. I wasn't real familiar with his stuff beforehand, but he absolutely ripped. I mean, very, very funny. Great writer. Great performer. So it was awesome. And a lot of these shows have been longer shows, closer to 2 hours, but the crowds have been on board the entire time, which has been pretty cool. I feel like in Denver and some local shows that I've run, or whether it's local or not, just 75 minutes, I feel like I try to kind of hit that number, closer to 90 if there's kind of like a venue that's like, we need you to do 90. But 2 hours to have somebody, especially a headliner, do 60 minutes from kind of hour 1 to hour 2 and rip the whole time. That was really cool to see. It's a different gear, a different level that I am certainly not at yet, but it's good to watch, good to take notes, good to learn from people who've been doing it for a while and have that skill set. So that was a great show. That was super fun. Like I said, super glad that I was able to be a part of that show. Then from there, that was like 8:30, went to like 10:30. Then I went to that 1020 Collective place again. They were doing a late night naughty show. So went and hung out there, which was very fun. And then today is Sunday. I had my final show. I did a brunch show at 1020 Collective as well. And that was very fun as well. You know, I've done a handful of brunch shows in the past, and usually, you know, you do a brunch show and you go, my expectations are to do time. I'm expecting to do time. Anything else that happens is a bonus. If people look at me while I do time, that's a bonus. If people smile, that's a bonus. If people laugh, I mean, that's a miracle. And people came out and people laughed. People enjoyed it. It was a very fun time. So all in all, I mean, genuinely, very, very fun festival, the Flagship City Comedy Festival. The two guys who run it, Dan and Anthony, great guys. Couldn't be nicer. I mean, I can only imagine the amount of work that they put in to make this what it is. So super fortunate to be on this festival. Very glad to be chosen. And if any comics are listening to this, thinking about whether or not they should apply next year, 100% was very much worth it. The crowds came out. The crowds were very supportive, laughed at every single show, and it was a very good time. So yeah, I guess tonight I'll probably go hang out at the last show. There's a show actually that I'm missing right now. It was at a tattoo parlor, I guess, which is funny. One of the producers came up and asked me if he said somebody dropped out. Do you want to do a 15-minute spot at the tattoo show? And I was initially like, yeah, I would love to do that, but the kicker is you have to get a tattoo while doing a spot. And I was like, well, I don't think that I want to get my first and only tattoo just to be able to do 15 minutes. But I bet I asked, I said, can I get a fake tattoo or just a Sharpie, a little smiley face Sharpied on my arm? But yeah, I think another comic was going to be getting his first tattoo to do a spot. So I'm just not ready to be a rebel yet. Maybe one day I'll be ready to look cool, but for now I know who I am, and I know that I don't think I can pull off a tattoo at this point. When I go bald in about 6 months, maybe I'll just switch everything up. When you go bald, I'm just going to get new clothes, new shoes. I'm going to have sleeves, tattoos from my shoulders to my wrist, both arms. Anything to distract from this being completely absent. It's very windy here in Erie. I guess that makes sense. I don't know. Probably can't hear it on this mic, but it's been very windy. I guess when there's a lake around, wind and water, I think, kind of like work together. I don't know how the earth works, but the wind and the water and the moon, there's like a thing that, all right, well, I'm going to back out of. I tried to riff and explain something that I don't know, but I couldn't come. My brain isn't functioning very well. I'm not very good at riffing anyways. I should try to get better. I should so my plan moving forward when I get to Denver, like I said, is to I want empty slate, clean slate, start doing new jokes and really work hard on developing a new 10 minutes, a new 15 minutes, just a new jokes. And part of that, I've said this in the past, but very much want to tackle and get better at stories, which involves just going out there with stories and saying them and having them not work and trimming the fat and finding punchlines to put in there. And it's just a process, but also very much want to, I can't even remember what I was talking about. I'll go back and do stories. Oh my gosh. I'm all over the place. I was talking about water, wind, the earth, doing comedy. What else do I want to work on? New material, stories. Man. What does this podcast become? But anyways, on a different topic. I've forgotten completely where I was going with that. But tomorrow, which is Monday, I'll be leaving for Cleveland/Akron. I'll be spending the week there, and then next weekend I'll be at the Rubber City Comedy Festival, which I'm very excited to go to. I think the entire festival is at the Funny Stop Comedy Club. I believe that's the name of the club, right around there in Akron. So that'll be my first. It'll be my first festival doing shows at a comedy club, which will be exciting. Excited to meet all the people. The Flagship City Comedy Festival here in Erie has been unbelievably fun in the sense of like meeting people as well. I mean, everybody just, sometimes it can be awkward and you're like, oh, it's weird to maybe talk to people or whatnot. But I feel like the producers of the festival like went the extra mile to just make sure everybody was introduced to everybody, which made it super easy to meet people, to get the conversation started. Got to meet people from all over, which was nice. A lot of very friendly, very funny people here. And yeah, looking forward to next week to doing that in Akron as well, meeting some more people, getting to perform at the club. I'm doing a show in Oberlin, Ohio, which is, I think, like an hour outside of Cleveland, and Akron on Wednesday. So I'm excited to do that and then do the festival over the weekend, and then it's going to be back to Denver. It'll be over a month at that point that I will have been gone from Denver. Man, that's pretty crazy. So, yeah, very much looking forward to this next week, but I'm sure after next week I will be, ready to get back to my apartment and, just a familiar bed and place and back in a routine of exercise and food. Not just food, we all are in a routine of food, but healthy food. Yeah, I'm really running out of steam here. Haven't read books in a while, which is unfortunate. But it's busy. It's a lot to juggle. Being productive on the road. I mean, I need to, that's partially an excuse. I need to be better at it. But I feel like if I can juggle a couple of those things at a time, it feels like I'm doing better than I've done some in the past where I go completely off the rails. But very much want to work on new jokes. I mean, nothing more motivating than seeing comics that are a level above you or levels above you. Some of the headliners here at the festival, and just being motivated to write new jokes, to get better, to work on the craft, and be as funny as you can be. And that's ultimately the goal. Tightening your material, writing about different subjects, trying to be more relatable. One thing I saw when I was watching Brent headline the show last night, just a lot of very relatable material, which a lot of comics, you see them do that, and it's such a relatable thing that it's very easy to look at it and go, that's easy. What he's doing is easy. It seems like it would be easy, but that's just because they're very good. I mean, obviously every good comedian, that's kind of a similar theme where you go, it makes you feel like you could do it, but you actually can't because they're so good at it. Such good writers, such good performers. They present it in a way that makes it seem like anybody could do it. So yeah, I want to work on some more relatable material. I mean, I feel like a lot of my material is pretty relatable, but how can I make it even more relatable? And how can I make every joke connect and hit? Obviously easier said than done, but having all your jokes hit, and not only that, but boom, 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 punchline, tag, tag, tag. I mean, I was watching Brent last night, and I swear there were some jokes where he would do like 8 tags that would crush, and you're like, golly, man, that's insane. I think maybe best case scenario, I have a couple jokes with like a punchline and 2 tags, maybe 3 tags. And, if the crowd's not into it, you might have to bail after the first tag, or maybe not even do the tags. But just 7, 8 tags, just boom, 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 crushing. So it's very motivating to see people at that level and to go, okay, he's been doing it 18 years. I've been doing it 4.5 years. I'm not there. I got a lot of work to do, but excited to put in the work. And obviously a lot of people look at the process as a grind, but I very much am looking forward to that grind, to that process of just the creative process. I think if it becomes too much of a grind, that's what turns people off, makes people jaded or feel like they want to quit or whatever. But if I feel like I'll go through that process sometimes as well, or that thought process. But at the end of the day, when you're out there kind of doing the thing and, you still have good sets. Like I had very good sets throughout the festival. I was very happy with the sets I had. Very happy. I mean, every set went great. But also I want to be better. I constantly want to get better. So that's something that motivates me quite a bit. And I'm looking forward to the next month in Denver of just bombing in front of my peers and having them go, boy, Ben was on the road for a while. He's terrible, dude. Okay, you know what? A lot of the jokes I'm probably going to do coming up are probably going to be terrible. But you just do a bunch of terrible stuff until you find something that connects, and you just keep on keeping on. That's a corny saying, but very relevant, very true. It is a little disappointing. I will say the Red Roof Inn here, a continental breakfast, or even just throwing some bagels out, just some basics. No, they have free coffee 24/7, which is, thank you, I guess. That's pretty sweet. But I've been eating kind of strange, just a little here and there. I don't think I've been eating enough. I've been skipping a lot of meals, and I can definitely feel it. It's probably good I haven't been exercising. I'll probably be struggling right now. But I was going to eat. I was very hungry after the show last night, and it was like 11. Nothing was open except fast food, and I was like, I think I'm going to break and get fast food, but I didn't. I held off. I came back. I ate popcorn that I had. And you're probably wondering, did that fill you up, Ben? No, it did not. But it was somewhat of a trick on my brain, just putting something into my face, and I ate the whole bag. It was pretty good. It was like that healthy popcorn, but I didn't realize it was a sweet and not sweet and sour. It was like a sweet and salty. So it's kind of like kettle corn, which I'm assuming you guys have had kettle corn, but so good. So good. Kettle corn. I mean, it's basically dessert. It can't be good for you. It's just popcorn and sugar. But very, very good. I was introduced to kettle corn at Scaramere in Lynchburg. If you guys aren't familiar, which I'm sure you're not. That was a haunted house in Lynchburg where I grew up. That was a huge attraction. Huge. I mean, I remember you'd go out there, kids would go out there, and you'd wait in line for no joke, 3-4 hours to go through this haunted house, which is like a 15-minute thing. And, when you're a kid, that's the thing to do. You go with a group of friends. You're like, yes, I got invited to go to something, which is cool. But then also it's a cool thing to do. And then you just get to chat. Actually, it's funny because it's like a 3 or 4 hour line is so long. But when you're a kid, or even when you're an adult, when you're hanging out with company and people that you enjoy being around, it's just a hang. You're like, all right, it's going to take a while to get inside, but we're just hanging. That hang, could be ruined if you didn't bring a proper jacket and it was very cold. That was always not fun. But anyways, there'd be a long line there, and there'd be concessions as you were waiting in line, and kettle corn was a big thing they did. It was very good. I can't remember the last time I did Scaramere. I think the last time I did Scaramere was probably in high school, probably 20 years ago. I remember all the people in the haunted house, they're not allowed to touch you, but I remember I went in, and the first room was like a strobe light, and it was like a checkered design room. And there were people that had clothes on that were like checkered. So there was a strobe, and they would move towards you but kind of blend in with the wall. So it was like they get close to you and freak you out. And so this guy was coming toward me, and I think I just started trying to break dance or something. And he pushed me onto the ground, which he's not allowed to do. But, looking back, it's like, I don't blame him. I probably deserved a little push there. Somebody to be like, don't do that again. It's not a good look, buddy. But then they'd have all this gruesome Halloween stuff. It was a fun, it wasn't a ton to do back then, but that was a fun thing to do. I don't know how I got on the topic of Halloween. It's not Halloween time. It's April, almost May. Almost May. That's insane. Time flies, man. It's very cold in this hotel room. But yeah, I guess I'll end it here. I don't want to ramble too much longer, especially since I don't even know what to ramble on. But it's been a very fun last couple weeks, going throughout Virginia, through Pittsburgh, here in Erie with the festival. Looking forward to the Rubber City Festival next week in Ohio. Yeah, feel very fortunate to be on these festivals. I've been able to meet a ton of very funny, very cool people, and been able to, continually practice and work on doing comedy, trying to become as funny as possible. So if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you for listening through. That's the end of the podcast for this week, but thanks so much for listening, and I'll see you guys again next week.